Hey, hello, and welcome to my channel. As you can see from the title today, we're talking about a Clockwork Orange, and in particular, we're going to take a look at the Korova Milkbar, one of the locations that features prominently in the film, including in the opening scene. So that's important, but what kind of bar is this? There's some unusual details going on here. So today, we're going to take a deep dive into the Korova Milkbar of A Clockwork Orange. Well, literally, our first shot is a close up of the Droogs in the Korova Milkbar. Of course, we see several shots of our main characters, Alex and his friends, deciding what to do that night as they hang out at their favorite spot, the Korova Milkbar, which serves basically spiked milk drinks. That's milk mixed with various drugs mixed in it. One of the first things you notice here is the unusual furniture. The tables are actually naked women with different colored hair, including blue and purple. We'll get more into that later. But now, notice a burly security guard perched right in front of the Droogs. Not sure why, since everyone is slightly out of it and not causing any trouble. In front of him, to the right, are two men on a couch, not talking to each other, and the younger one, wearing a beige and brown shirt with his hands together, appears to be talking to himself. It's odd. Now, the people in the Korova Milk Bar are a pretty diverse group. We see several women as well as men, and here you see two women on the right in yellow that show there are various races and ethnicities here, including the security guards too. Some of the men here on the left almost look like hippies with long hair or maybe even rock musicians. Directly across from them is a group dressed somewhat similar to Alex and his friends. But notice the guy with the black helmet. He has a weapon in his hands. Perhaps it's a pipe or a bat. It's strange that a place with multiple security guards would let him bring it in. Also, keep in mind, Alex is 15 years old in the novel. You might think he was too young to hang out in a strange bar, but since they're not serving alcohol, I guess the owner isn't breaking the law or just doesn't care. I'm starting to think the owner is a bit of a sketchy character, and in fact, let's ask the question, who owns this place? Of course, the Droogs head out of the Korova and immediately find an old drunk man to attack. So the drinks they had at the Korova are making them a bit violent and vicious. Then they meet up with Billy Boy and his gang in a theater, and they have another violent fight, though this time it's an over-the-top glass smashing and chair breaking fight with weapons. You have to wonder if the Korova drinks are making these guys numb to the pain, because I think it probably is. They seem to have no fear of driving at crazy speeds in dark, lonely roads either. Literally, after committing more violence, they stop back into the Korova for what they call a nightcap. You'll notice a different crowd here now, more fancy, wearing what appear to be stylish evening clothes like tuxedos. There we see Dim, one of the Droogs, approach one of the ornate statues of a naked woman that is basically a drink dispenser, and he actually calls her Lucy and smiles. I'm starting to think the Droogs are somewhat disconnected from normal emotions and reactions, and perhaps that is because of the substances that are in the drinks. So let's take a quick look at what that is. Well, I actually have a whole video about that called What's in the Drinks at the Korova Milk Bar. But briefly, the first one, Velichet, appears to be some kind of speed or amphetamine, which would make sense since the Droogs like to go fast. The second one, Synthmesk, appears to be synthetic mescaline, which may enhance the Droog's enjoyment of music, and the third one, Drencrum, may cause some disassociation, that might distort their perceptions of the external world. But who might own a place like this? And why exactly is it allowed to operate? Presumably, 15 years old is too young to buy alcohol, but the drugs in these drinks seem even more dangerous than alcohol. At one point, we see a whole drawer full of stolen watches and money, no doubt from previous nights that Alex and his droogs went out committing crimes, and probably fueled by the substances from the Korova Milkbar drinks called Moloko Plus. At another point, Alex has hallucinations of a violent nature, again, probably from the substances in the Korova drinks. This can't be healthy for a 15-year-old. Some odd connections in the later part of the film when Alex is in prison and getting the experimental Ludovico technique is the doctors actually give him some type of serum, some drug. Again, this is very sketch. Why would a 15-year-old even be a candidate for an experimental drug treatment, especially one as traumatic as this Ludovico technique? It seems completely inappropriate, even illegal. It's like the people running this Ludovico experiment on young prisoners could be the same people who own and supply the Korova Milkbar with drugs, because they seem to have almost no concern for the fact that young teenagers are involved in something dangerous, almost like it's considered normal in this place to give drugs to kids. Now, when Alex gets home from prison and goes back to his parents' house, we see several newspaper headlines that give us a clue, such as Crime Cure Will Strengthen Law and Order Policy and Murderer Freed, Science Has Cure. So apparently, the government is pushing this dangerous Ludovico technique to deal with crime. Also, a side note about Alex's mum. We see her here with several different colors of hair that is very reminiscent of the hair colors we saw at the Korova Milk Bar on the naked women tables and statues. And I think one of the connections here may be that in the early 1970s, when this film was made, these would have been considered very unnatural hair colors. So it just sort of reinforces that this is an unnatural, dystopian sort of landscape that we're in. So, to start summing up, let me just say a word about the drinks that are actually served at the Korova Milk Bar. Those Moloko Plus drinks contain substances that are like amphetamines and speed and hallucinogenic mescaline, and they seem to obviously cause violent and psycho behavior in the Droogs when they take it, as they basically go on violent crime sprees after drinking this stuff. So I've got to ask, why? Why is this stuff allowed to be sold to kids when it's so damaging? One answer from the novel by Anthony Burgess is that the Korova just doesn't have a liquor license, but it's apparently okay to sell these drugs. I think it's something more, though. These drugs eventually will cause desensitization to violence for sure, since the Droogs already aren't bothered by that. Maybe being on these drugs makes it easier to survive in the rather dystopian, brutalist world the Droogs actually live in. So, to sum up, what kind of bar is the Korova Milk Bar in A Clockwork Orange? Well, it's certainly an unusual place, as just about everyone seems to hang out here, young and old, and the poor teenagers from the council block apartments, like Alex and his friends, on up to very well dressed and wealthy looking people like the lady who was singing. So I guess it's a fairly inclusive place. Also, there doesn't seem to be much trouble or fights here, even though they are serving drinks that literally have drugs in them. But that may be because of the large number of rather burly security guards. For such a small spot, there's a lot of security guards. I almost feel like they are keeping watch for someone because they aren't doing the kind of stuff security guards usually do, like tell someone they can't bring a weapon inside, since here is the guy on the right wearing a black helmet who is clearly carrying a weapon. Which brings us to the next question. Who owns this place? In my opinion, one group that could be the owners are those creepy scientists from the Ludovico Experiment. They seem to be totally okay giving experimental drugs to teenagers like Alex, so they probably wouldn't mind drug-laced drinks being served at the Korova. But they're such a shadowy group. Even the opportunistic politician at the end of the film tries to distance himself from them, though it's probably just to save his career. Maybe the owner of the Korova Milkbar is literally in the shadows, someone who seems to have access to drugs and is also comfortable moving in many different social circles, from the people in tuxedos to Alex and his droogs. They might also travel with security guards, since there are quite a few of them in the Korova Milkbar, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have high-level connections in business and government, a bit of a drug lord, and a gentleman gangster, perhaps, flying under the radar. Well, that's my new video all about the Korova Milkbar in a Clockwork Orange. I hope you liked it. I'm working on something special for next week, and I hope to have that up soon. Also, I want to thank you for the great comments you've been leaving me. I really like seeing them. Also, it would help my channel if you did hit that subscribe button, but either way, my name is Shim. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and have a good day.